to the show, guys. Thanks for joining us, and we are happy to have you all here. Joining me from Las Vegas, Nevada, I have Jess with the mess, and we've got my good friend Miss Sabrina there. We don't give out last names here. We're keeping the government out of our business today. So how's everything out west, ladies?
It's great. It's actually really good.
Yeah, sunny and 70. Can't beat it.
I was speaking with some of my friends and family back in Michigan. They had snow yesterday, so yeah, you definitely can't beat 70 and sunny. That's definitely the way to be right about now, especially with all of this chaos going on in our lives right now. And you get to keep your suntan and all that other happy stuff going on if you're into that.
Vitamin D for the win.
How have things progressed since we last spoke? We kind of talked briefly a couple weeks ago, but we were caught by the gremlins that decided to snip out the audio when we said certain things that we're going to try and get again. And I've got separate recording going on Skype, so you can't get us this week. What's the energy like out there right now? I mean, it's been a couple weeks. Has it kind of mellowed out, or are people still kind of in a bit of a chaotic state out there?
Well, it's a little chaotic. I don't think we really hit like the freak out point, because we don't have, this is a city of mostly homes. So we've been, hit relatively easy. So I think the next kind of phase is just how we're going to reopen. There's a lot of discussion about that. But other than that, we're pretty cool because we've just been doing a lot of yoga, going for hikes, shaming other people for not social distancing. Hey, we can't shame about anything else. I'm going to channel all my shaming into that.
That's absolutely fine. It is the buzzword for 2020, definitely. Can't wait to see what the first and is going to sound like that names themselves social distancing. So has the real estate market started to make any type of moves, Jess, or is it still looking fairly stable?
Actually, I just took 2 listings and we're still getting multiple offers on properties. Buyers have gone down about 50%. So the people that are buying and selling are people that actually need to buy and sell. There's not a lot of want right now. Like, oh, I feel like I'm going to, do this. It's more like people that just really need to move into a house or to sell a house. Both of my sellers need to leave. So, but we're still getting multiple offers and we're just taking extra precautions. So the governor put out something saying that can't do any tenant occupied houses. So if you're an investor and you want to sell, kind of a little bit harder. But if you have a vacant house or you're owner occupied, game on. So I've been quite busy, so very thankful for that.
Good. I know the comedy scene has taken a bit of a turn, I guess you could say. There's been an absolute flood of like Instagram videos and things like that because no clubs are open. People are doing all their stuff from home. Have you seen any of that, Sabrina? Have you participated in any of that? I know you were writing before, but I don't.
Yeah, no, I'm still writing. I have a project I'm working on, but regarding stand-up, I've been doing some shows in my living room for my dog. He's captive audience. Fred, gotta love him. A lot of dog material. Relatable. He's relating really well. Trying to get the dog next door over. Maybe a little bit bigger audience. Other than that, can't complain.
You know what you'll be doing, like the City Pound, and it'll be like this.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are we all watching now? Because I know there's been like a lot of binge watching going on. We do actually different podcasts and we review Netflix programs, and we were watching a show called Money Heist is our show we watched last week. Have you guys been deep diving into like the Disney Plus or any of the other streaming networks?
I don't have the other streaming networks, but I started watching Westworld. I know it's probably old because there's like 4 seasons out. But man, it's like so cool. Like, this is all a game. It's all in your head. This is all like the reality and stuff. I'm like, this is so appropriate for what's going on right now. I'm just going to think of this as a game.
Yeah.
So
I like this world. I saw the first maybe 2 seasons of it. I think I stopped watching. I think there's maybe 3. I don't know how many, but I think there's 3. Might be 4. But I saw like the first 2 seasons. It's actually really interesting. I started to watch the original one as well. It's a bit different, obviously, due to time differences from when it happened.
The movie with Yul Brenner.
Yeah. Holy. Jess, what are you doing to occupy your time when you're not trying to sell houses then? Are you watching anything cool that we should be checking out?
Yeah, I'm totally loving Silicon Valley on Hulu. They have all the seasons, and it's just so incredibly funny and awkward. I can relate so much. So it's been a really fun show to watch.
What's it about?
It's just about tech startup companies in the San Francisco area and kind of what they go through. And it's just a bunch of awkward people that code and do and it's about like who's gonna, and it's based on characters that are actually in the tech industry, like Jeff Bezos and all these people that we hear about. So it's really funny show.
I think all of this streaming stuff, well, these guys are obviously making tons of money now. This has been an incredibly lucrative time for them because so many of us are trapped at home now and we're just watching so much TV that we're just lining their pockets with our money. I found it interesting that this is actually going to change the way that we consume our media because we can't go to the movies now, and who knows when the theaters are going to actually be able to be reopened. So this is going to be something where they're probably going to be moving a lot of these new releases right to the home theater. And we were discussing this, years ago when they were talking about releasing stuff straight to like Netflix and whatnot. I think it's cool. Competition-wise, it's cool. I think it's better. Most of the time, I'd rather not leave home to watch a film anyway, unless it's something like, heavy in effects or cinematography, Star Wars, etc. I am happy to watch Rush Hour or whatever from the comfort of my living room. I don't need to go see that in IMAX,
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah,
home.
Well, the last movie we saw in a theater, I think we saw it together, Hollywood, with Brad Pitt.
With Brad Pitt, yeah, the last Quentin Tarantino movie.
And I hated the movie because I had to sit there. I didn't have the luxury of going to the bathroom and everything, or just get some popcorn when I felt like it. And the last scene was the only payoff. Now I watch it at home and I like it a lot better because I can pause Mr. Pitt and stare at him a little bit more. But it's also going to affect live entertainment. Hey, look, he's my boyfriend, okay? Stop it. It's also going to affect live entertainment in a huge way. I think we really all have to start gearing up to making more TikTok videos.
Yeah, we still got to do ours, Sabrina.
Yeah, we do. We're going to throw some
doing TikTok videos. It's going to be awesome.
It's definitely going to change the way that things are done. I definitely agree with that. I wonder how it's going to change the money, though, because when you think about the amount of money that is put into these productions versus how much they get out of it because they release it in theaters in these mass quantities to mass populations, so many people aren't going to have certain streaming platforms. So when you have things like, Disney, and they have all of the Marvel universe, all of Star Wars. So if you don't have the Disney platform, you're not going to get to watch any of those films.
That is true.
Yeah, it's definitely going to play a contribution to how much money is brought in. So I don't know if actors are now going to start to take less money for projects. Hopefully not, because that kind of affects me, and I don't want to hear that. But not that I'm on any major films as a lead or anything, but fingers crossed someday. I remember when we had the housing crisis in 2008, we were making well, I say actors I wasn't making, but you were generally making about $80,000 American for a national commercial, with residuals and whatever else. So you could do a commercial. If you did like 2 commercials a year, you were pretty much set for the year. You didn't have to worry about your money. After the housing crisis, you were seeing like maybe 30,000 for that same project, maybe 40. So I'm interested in seeing how this plays out. Hopefully it doesn't come too hugely negative in the pocketbooks of us, but I think it's kind of almost going to have to. Would you agree?
Yeah, I completely agree. There are production companies that are starting. So these production companies that are starting are not in the red; they're in the black. So they have a little bit of an advantage because everyone's losing their asses right now. The deals are going to be structured differently. What you brought up about independent movies, that's basically what we were saying. Like if you're not in the main Disney stream or HBO, whatever, how are you going to get released? So yes, it's going to affect people's salaries for a while, but I guess in a way you're going to have more independent channels. People are going to have to fight for what maybe they already built as far as like indie people. And it's kind of, yeah, I didn't give it a whole lot of thought until you brought it up. Because a good commercial, you have some major outlets that you put that advertising on. And with internet in general, you have to take less because the advertisers have to spend more in different areas. So that is going to completely screw things up. Sorry, bro. Sorry, Bond, bro.
Hey, circle back around to what we were watching. I have some good friends that used to actually work with, who's the guy that got in a lot of trouble for like sexual harassment and stuff? Like a rapper guy. What's his name again? Who's the rapper guy?
Hanzo.
Do you guys know who I'm talking about? He got in it. His name's Robert something. That's his name.
Oh,
R.
R. Kelly. So they actually just finished up a whole documentary on like how they're for R. Kelly and how they actually like think everything's full crap. Netflix actually picked it up.
Wow.
So they had no idea, no clue. So I don't know. I just thought that was super interesting. Can you believe that? I can't.
I can believe it I can believe Netflix will pick it up from a financial standpoint because I know people want to watch it. They definitely wouldn't be supporting it. I know everything that guy's done has pretty much been scrubbed. Same with Louis C.K. and Bill Cosby and whomever else is involved in that type of activity and been found guilty, I guess. But his supporters are still pretty strong. I think they still really fuck with his music for some reason, and I don't know why. He tried to get out of prison or jail. He's not in prison yet. He tried to get out of jail because of the coronavirus. And, they're like, no, you need to stay put, buddy. So, I won't watch it, but I'm sure definitely people will watch that.
I gotta watch it because I went to high school and like middle school with these girls that were his personal assistants back in like the early 2000s. So
how did that come up before? And we're not talking about that.
These twin girls, and yeah, they are like staunch supporters of R. Kelly and think that he is like he needs to be vindicated of all these horrible things that he supposedly did. So it's going to be interesting to watch. I'm just curious to see like what they have to say.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you know them personally? Like, were you friends with them, or you just knew them as people you went to school with that were?
No, I used to like go over to their house after school, and we used to like hang out. Like, I was really good friends with. Actually, we did some horrible stuff together, like as teenagers. We were really bad teenagers together in Chicago. Like, I went to go visit them, and we were just little hellions. So I won't go into
Go deeper on that. You're not going to just gloss over that shit. It's like, man, we were fucked up. So anyway, about Netflix. No. Back up.
We were just like,
I'm on.
We were just butthead teenagers, you know? Like, we just got into some, like, dumb stuff.
Well, specifics, please.
Yeah, what kind of stuff?
We were just bad kids. We just, you know, it was been like.
If you make a general sweeping statement one more time, I'm cutting your mic. What did you do?
Yeah, man.
We just had a lot of fun. It was when raves were really in and the Jinko jeans and like staying up all night and partying. It was, you know, that time.
So what you're saying is, all right, I'm going to have to put my reporter hat on now because now you're just playing games with me right now. So what you're saying is that you used to be involved with some rather maybe salacious type activities as a younger person. You were maybe out staying out past curfew, probably tipping back a few, maybe doing other types of things that are now potentially legal that weren't legal back then. Just because we're not in court, I won't make you say yes or no out loud, so that's fine. Okay, so these girls then were party girls, we'll say, and they were probably open to maybe some of the things that are potentially being called accusations, we'll say. So they were maybe down to explore or experiment with certain things. Is that what you'd say?
You know, I don't think so. They're like, one of the sisters was actually R. Kelly's personal assistant, and like, she just firmly believes he did nothing wrong. She thinks he's a saint. Like, she just absolutely thinks he's wonderful. And she's a nurse, a mother of 2 boys, married to a really nice guy. So, you know, I'm not sure what to believe. The accusations are horrible against him. I think they're absolutely horrible, but I've never seen somebody so passionate about somebody being innocent, especially in the face of, you know, what's happening. So I want to see it so I can just get a better idea, I guess.
What is it? Munchausen syndrome when you get kidnapped or something by your... I think that's a little bit what might be going on here.
Literally say that. I mean, I know of some people, some friends of mine that have dealt with those types of situations when they were younger, and they just had to take it or deal with it or put up with it or whatever the case may have been because it was part of how they ate, and you know they didn't want to rock the boat. And I know in Hollywood that's big. Having lived there for 10 years, I know that shit goes on that probably shouldn't go on, and people try to rationalize or justify it. So maybe she just doesn't want any part of it. I really don't know. It'd be interesting to hear her take on that, but obviously that's not what's going to happen today. But yeah, well, hopefully she wasn't a victim.
Yeah, no. I hope not. I don't think she was. Like I said, she's from what I keep seeing, she's like very, very firmly for R. Kelly and believes in his innocence. So
good for her. We think he's a douchebag and should burn. At least I do.
At least we know. I'm not going to comment on somebody I don't know. I almost said something nasty. So. Yeah, so I don't know about that situation. I'm definitely interested in seeing the program. I did watch one episode of Surviving R. Kelly, and I don't know. I don't know enough about the situation, and I wasn't there. It's kind of the same thing with like this whole Michael Jackson thing that took place, and again, I wasn't.
Well, here's how it's like they have the profile of any predator. Like, oh, they surround themselves with kids, they surround themselves with young girls, but somehow they didn't do it. You know, I just kind of take that and go, okay, let's just look at the whole of who he surrounds himself with, and that's it. Okay, if they're famous, that maybe people think that, you know, or it doesn't even mean famous. I'm sure there are families who uncles do horrible things, but there are supporters and people who just want them to burn like me. But it's, I guess I lived in a home when I was like 16, 17 years old, which we all kind of know is a little crazy. And so there is nothing that shocks me. Everything is, people are freaking strange, man. I just believe the victims. The stories are too similar. They're always, you don't have to pry anything out of them. They're not making this up. So basically, R. Kelly burn. R. Kelly burn. That's my new mantra today.
Hey, there's another TV show I watched with an ex-friend of mine. She broke up with me this week. I'm kind of sad about it. But I watched this documentary called Out of Shadows. Have you heard of it at all?
No.
Shadows.
So it's on YouTube, and you guys should watch it before it gets taken off. But it is about just all of the rich elite and what they're up to, and it literally gave me nightmares. I woke up the next morning.
Jeffrey Epstein expose. It's on IMDb, so I don't think it's going to get yanked anytime soon.
Yeah, it's really interesting. If you guys get a chance to watch it, it's on YouTube.
Who's your friend? Can I ask? Can you just say their first name? Is it Claire?
That broke up with me?
Yes. Am I being too intrusive now? You can just tell me to shut up.
Well, actually, it's kind of interesting. I had 2 conspiracy theory friends break up with me within the last week, and both of them are named Aaron, so. I know. I don't know what happened, but they very sensitive and they're very much in deep with what's happening currently.
I'm not a big conspiracy person. To me, like I've been hearing conspiracy since I was like stories about conspiracy, their theories, whatever, since I'm a teenager, and all of the stories are kind of still relatively the same, maybe a little different seasoning on them, and I find them entertaining. I do. I can't say I don't, but I don't like to spend a lot of time thinking about them. She's the one who comes with and tells me all the conspiracies, like, eating baby brains, which I'm a big fan of, by the way. Actually, not the theory, but actually,
Sabrina looks pretty, and her skin's so pretty.
I was say,
yeah.
Don't knock that shit. You say that black, you're giving out our secrets.
No, stem cells rule, man. Like little baby facials.
I'm a huge conspiracy theorist person, interest-wise anyway, much like yourself. I'll listen to them, love to discuss them. I have a guy, we're going to have a show on Tuesday on the Global Warning podcast that we are going to be discussing aliens. I want to try and keep it right here, but he's very much into, he's going to take it all the way to the earth is flat and there's fucking lizard people ruling the UK and all that.
And like inside our earth, in our core, and they're like giants. I've heard all kinds of crazy stuff.
Oh yeah, came at us with the hollow earths as well. So it's going to be an interesting show on Tuesday. So we'll definitely be posting that up on v3tv.uk. So check that out. So what is this conspiracy about this baby brains and blood stuff? So I've got the recording going separately. So last time we tried to discuss this, and I wanted to play it back and actually listen to it, Skype just cut out. Now, is that a conspiracy? I don't know, but the shit didn't work. So
what's going on with that?
Exactly. So, and I contacted Skype, and of course they say, oh, well, sometimes, when the feeds cross and 2 people are talking at once, it stops. I'm like, all right, your shit is as old as MySpace with that excuse. So knock it off. Not hearing it. Yeah. So I'll let Jess with the Mess tell us what this baby brains and blood shit is all about. Sabrina, don't talk until she stops talking. I will do the same. Jess with the Mess, you've got the floor. Go.
Well, thank you. So apparently, and it's even in this documentary Out of Shadows that was produced by an ex-stuntman. So it's just about how all these elites, even like Lady Gaga, they're all hanging out with this lady performance artist who's 75. She looks like she's like 45 though. And they basically just like drink the blood of these like traumatized babies and perform all these like satanic rituals, and they're a part of the Church of Satan. And like basically that is their secret to staying young. And they're cannibals and they do all kinds of weird, crazy stuff. That's it.
That's it.
Oh,
is that?
Tea time, tea time. Okay. That's it.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And like, the part that like got me is apparently they take all these kids and like even politicians are a part of it. Like it's really intense. Like you could totally go down the rabbit hole. I have chosen not to because some of the topics are just absolutely just downers and I'm trying to live my life, so I don't want to like get too into it. And I've just seen how both of these people have completely like engrossed their lives in this. Like I think they just sit at the computer and watch these documentaries and read all this stuff all day long. But like what are we going to do about it? That's what I don't understand. How am I going to change what's happening, in Hollywood? I'm not. So I'm like you, Vaughn. Like I can take so much of it before I'm like, cool, man, it's like nice to know about it, but I'm gonna go like hang out and have some fun with my friends now. Like I gotta go,
Yeah, it gets to a point where you can consume it, but once you start to let it consume you, you become paranoid. I think people would start to become paranoid. And
Yeah.
Sabrina, I cut you off. You were going to say something.
Oh no, it's okay. No, I see a ramping up of people who really, enjoy conspiracy theories. I think they feel some validation right now. And like, in a way, I feel like they're rooting against what's going on because they want to see like what they've been thinking and telling everyone happened. Like
Yeah.
they, it's in that part to me is a little scary. There's also, some, in a lot of cases, there's some mental illness going on. And again, it maybe like validating how they've been feeling. So in that regard, it's a little scary to me. Like you were talking about the cell phone towers being burned in the UK. And Jessica told me that like everything, all the information about 5G had been wiped off of YouTube. And I'm not sure if that's true, but that's what the conversation.
Yeah. I was given the video through an app that's encrypted. So like anything we talk about literally private. So the video that was given to me to watch, it's completely gone. It's been taken down. And Facebook is editing things now too. So if you put anything on Facebook that could possibly look or be against like the narrative or against what could possibly be fake news, they will actually take it down or warn you and let you know that it isn't valid information to Facebook.
Right.
To me, that means it's probably valid and they just don't want us to know about it.
Right. I'm going to say like probably a whole bunch of things. I'll try and remember it all. So like you said, I've had video taken down about 5G. We did an interview with a guy who was a huge flat earth guy, and he's traveled all over the world, done measurements, done all kinds of crap about flat earth. And I had him on a show a couple years ago. Some of the shit he was saying, I was like, yeah, okay, that makes a little sense to me, but I'm not into astrophysicism or physics, and I don't know any about mathematics. I got like a C- in math, so I don't know. So, but whatever. When it comes, go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I was telling Jessica, because I think there was like a hint of conspiracy going on, and I said, look, if I was in law enforcement or if I had to deal with this personally, I would go, look, I want all this stuff taken down, because also in the UK, they weren't burning just 5G towers. They were burning cell phone towers. It's not like these people have a lot of information and they're real strategic. They're just hitting cell phone towers. So when you're having a heart attack or giving birth and you're trying to get through to 911 and you can't get through because some yahoos burned down your cell phone tower, I'm going to say take that crap down from YouTube and put keywords on Facebook. I don't think it's such a conspiracy. They're just trying to chill people out. That's what Sabrina thinks.
And because of what Sabrina thinks is why we'll never get to see the fucking aliens, because they can't handle it. They can't handle it, right? So I'm just messing. I'm just.
You're on Earth with us, so.
So with regards to the shit, see, I'm like a goldfish. My memory, once you stop me, it's on. So microchipping, we were talking about this. People are seeing things and they want to see it come to fruition, this new world order that everyone is always talking about. Yeah, I think that a lot of people are seeing that this can potentially go in that direction, because we've got now, for years I've been saying we don't want money, we don't want your dollars, yada yada yada, and now we've had contactless payment in this country for ever since I've been here. I think for about 8-9 years, maybe not. I think so. So when I went home to Detroit 2 years ago, I think, and I don't know if it's different on the West Coast. So we're usually a bit ahead of the curve in tech and things like that out there. But they had only just got the contactless payment, and it was like 2018, I think. And they were surprised. They're like, "Ooh, look, they're calling their people over. Like, we get to try out the machine. He's got one of those cards." And I was like, "What the fuck is going on?" I'm like, "This is not new. This is not new." And it wouldn't work. So it was like, because they had never had a card that they could try it with, whereas we have been using that for ages. So I did a show a while ago where we were talking about people don't have cash anymore. You can, when you go into the underground to catch the train, you can use your watch, you can use your phone, to pay and so on. And now we don't want to touch anything, right?
Yeah.
So now we don't want to touch anything. So now, because I was listening to these people that were always saying, stock up on water, stock up on non-perishables, because you never know when the shit's going to kick off. And then here we are 5 years later and the shit kicked off. So now, I wish I had all that water, and I didn't think that I would have needed toilet paper, but, God damn it. But I've got stuff. So I immediately went to the bank and I'm like, I need, X amount of hundreds of dollars, like right now, because I saw what happened in Greece. I saw what happened in Italy, and they couldn't get their money out because the banks didn't have it. And we did that after the markets crashed. We did a run on the banks. There was a run on Washington Mutual. Washington Mutual went bye-bye. There's no longer that bank. And I wanted to get my money. So now they don't want money. They don't want to touch the money. So going to your point of I think you mentioned earlier about microchips. We were talking about that on the podcast earlier, or some sort of scan or something you said before we started, maybe. It makes sense to me, because now they don't want you to touch anything. So if I have all my data right here, then it's convenient. And with regards to, see, now I'm remembering all the points that I wanted to make. I just go.
That's like freaking me out. If you have all your data right here, who else has all your data? I'm going to be on the fringe of society. I'm not letting anybody have my data like that. That freaks me out, man. Everybody's saying it's like the mark of the beast, and I don't know. I'm just like not down with everybody knowing that like I have a porn. I'm just joking. I'm just like, I just don't want. I'm totally joking, guys. I don't want people to.
I was like really starting to like you there for about half a second, and then you threw that caveat in there.
But so, like, Vaughn, you're okay with everybody having your information like that?
Never. I actually have said once my contract ended with this mobile phone and only 5G phones were available, I'm getting a flip phone. I literally plugged in my house phone a couple weeks ago because I'm like, I'm not getting another mobile phone. I'm not doing it. So I don't need it. The only person that calls me is my agent. I can text and all that crap from my phone or my laptop, whatever. Shit, I wanted to say something, completely forgot. We were talking about that on a different podcast, and to have all of that stuff there is so convenient, though. But the thing of it is if you don't get it, you're not going to be able to buy anything. You're not going to have a choice. They're going to make it so you don't have a choice. This is the point that I wanted to get to, is when we started seeing President Trump saying all this outlandish stuff to some people that he was saying, and they're like, he's a racist and bad, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, we can't stick to that narrative. Okay, he said what he said, and his supporters over here may be racist, so maybe they're linked. Who knows? Who cares? There's nothing you can do about that to prove it. Can't prove what someone's intent is. But once they started operating out in the open, when people start saying, go back to your country and go back to Mexico and da-da-da-da, and nothing happens, this is when the box gets opened. So when you have people that can operate, again, this is all my opinion. I'm not some scholar or anything. I'd never say anything profound. So if you have these people that operate with impunity, then they know that they can just get away with whatever the hell they want. So you've got Bill Gates saying we've got too many people. There's too many people on this planet. We need to reduce the population. It's too many. It's not sustainable. It's all we kept hearing. It's not sustainable, sustainability, and, too many animals. We've got to start eating vegan shit, So then he's like, hey, I'm quitting Microsoft, and hey, I'm stepping off the board at what the hell is Warren Buffett?
He's for pandemics now. He's
right.
In bed with the flu. Yeah, man, it's bad.
So now he's out of tech, and he's all focused on the vaccines. So if you don't get your vaccines, and I was hearing someone else talking about the pharmaceutical companies are really moving towards vaccines versus pills like they have been because they've been losing so much money. But when you don't get your vaccine, you don't get to renew your driver's license. This is all hypothetical, right? If you don't get your vaccine, you don't get to come to my health club because all our members have their vaccines. You can't come in without your vaccine. Your passport's expired. We can't have you travel without getting your vaccines updated. So then it will become mandated that you have to have it. That's where I have the problems because there's a slippery slope, and a lot of this stuff will be written into law under the guise of protecting you like the Patriot Act did after 9/11. So we bought that shit at 9/11. I don't want the terrorists blowing us up. And the next thing you know, the NSA was hooking up with Verizon and had all of our texts and all of our phone conversations. You people forgot all about that shit. They had all of that shit. And they were listening to all of your stuff. They have all of your text messages. Everyone was outraged for 5 minutes. Everyone's like fake protesting, and now they don't give a shit. Same thing with like the NFL. It's like, we're not watching the NFL. But then on the sneak, everyone's watching the NFL. So I can see it happening. I don't know what to do about it. It's like you said, if anything, I just want to live my life and be happy. But what can you do about it? Rant over. Over to you, ladies. Go.
Well, I totally think that we should have a decentralized internet, and I think that there are going to be enough people that are going to revolt against it and not want it, and be on the fringe of society and figure out a way against it. Just like they're bright minds for it and will propel the technology to make it happen, there's going to be people on the opposite side that don't want it to happen, that are just as smart and just as fascinating. And I'm on that side. It kind of scares me to go with the status quo and do what everybody wants, especially when those are the, people that have more money than God and are making decisions for us. I don't like that.
Well, there were certain things, vaccines, like I know when I was young, my father was exposed to, I don't want to say hepatitis or something, but and I couldn't go back to school until I got this vaccine. So in a way, it's like, it's what, Vaughn is saying, how everything's been kind of slowly crouching up on us. It seems to be in an accelerated pace. Like I'm sure that some of us are not going to be able to go back to work unless we have a vaccine or that we have a test. So what are you going to choose? Going to work and paying your bills or revolting? So you're put between a rock and a hard place. And also there's things like I was screaming thank you to the gym gods because when this pandemic happened, the first thing I thought is, I could get out of my 5-year gym contract. And sure enough, so I'm sure there's someplace in the cell phone data or a lot of our privacy that if you look at the contract, it says in event of natural disaster or pandemic, and you're yeah, whatever, and just signed it, that they probably already have the rights that that's why the cell phone tracing, Like if we're going out on the trail and passing through people who've been exposed to the virus, now they have little dots following us all over the place. It's getting a tad scary at a very accelerated rate, and we're just seeing the beginning of this. And, again, like I have to go out. Jessica is more of an independent contractor, but I don't want to take a vaccine. I don't do well with the flu shot. I'm like, this is going to kill me. I don't know, but it's probably going to be a mandatory thing.
Yeah, that's wild. That's wild. I don't get flu shot. Never have gotten a flu shot.
Neither have I. I don't.
Horrible.
Thank God.
My doctor advises against it because they really don't work. Maybe like 30% of the time they may work, but if you're even slightly sick and you get it, you get so much work. Like it's horrible.
Not doing it.
Yeah, but then you have the antibodies, and then like you can fight it.
You sound like Kaiser Permanente representative over there.
We're gonna have we're gonna have an underground railroad of homeopathic healers, and
Yeah, that's another conspiracy. All the natural doctors that have just like gone bye-bye because they have all these natural cures that actually help people and cure people. And, the whole conspiracy is like all the pharmaceutical companies and the higher ups don't want people to know about that stuff. I don't want to know that some plant you can grow in your backyard could possibly heal you,
Well, all I know right now is the only thing that's healing me is Popeye's fried chicken.
Oh.
I've never had it, Sabrina. You gotta when this is over, we gotta have a Popeye's dinner party.
Now, hold on a minute, God damn it! You grew up in Chicago, and you never had Popeye's chicken?
So no, I didn't grow up in Chicago. My two friends that I was talking about earlier, they moved to Chicago, and I went to go visit them. And actually, it was a suburb of Chicago, Wheaton, Illinois. So
we've had a couple fast food, comfort food nights. We ordered $50 from Taco Bell. I have never ordered $50.
Yeah, and it broke my vegan week. I totally was against it, and I had a Mexican pizza thanks to your husband Mark.
He was so happy because at first she said, "I'm not going to have that fast food. I am not going to eat Taco Bell." And he orders her something because he knows that she's going to eat it when she gets here. "I'm a vegan now. I'm a vegan." He put it in front of her. She inhaled it.
Yeah.
Like, what about your vegan diet now?
That plastic boiled meat was delicious. I had hot sauce for each slice of that Mexican pizza. It never tasted so damn good.
Yeah, the pharmaceutical companies make so much money. It's definitely to their benefit to keep us sick. And something like $120 billion they're making or something in 2018. Probably more than that. I think it says 1.2 trillion or something. They make so much money just in drug globally. This is globally in U.S. dollars.
This is a huge thing. I mean, Las Vegas, the city, is primarily dependent on tourism. And I would think that, a third of the city is probably employed somehow by a casino. And so that's a third of the city that they'll probably have mandatory either screenings and definitely moving towards vaccinations. It is scary. But again, what are we going to do? We have to pay. And it almost feels like this pandemic was a little plan because all these things start falling into place. Yeah. And a part of you is like, okay, well, I can't ignore it, but I also can't do anything about it. I mean, who knows? Maybe this is the beginning of something larger, or we're just going to go back to how we were. I don't know. It's these underwater.
I definitely don't agree with that. Not that you said that that's what's going to happen, but I definitely don't think that's the outcome.
What do you mean?
I think going back to the way they were.
Yeah, no, it's never.
It's not possible. No. The thing that separates us from the government types and the big business and these people that are string pullers. I haven't worked a job in a long time, but I do know that when you would go to a job interview, almost every single job, it was like a box standard question. What is your 5-year plan? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? I'm like, fuck do I know where I'm going to be in 5 years? So the corporate mindset and the government mindset works from a mindset of chess, you know? So when we think as civilians, we think in terms of like checkers. I got to go to the market and pick up cheese. I got to pick up the kids from soccer. I got to, you know, stuff like that. It's short, quick moves, get you through the day. The government implements stuff so that they can say checkmate, like right now. They've been doing all this little shit that they've been doing, and we say, oh, yeah, we'll vote for that. And this is part of that. So you're going to agree to certain things now because we think we have to have it in order to keep us safe. And then before you know it, it'll be too late to go back because you can't go past a certain point because you start losing all these things that you think you need or want. It convinced you've had to have, etc. And back to your point of people eating babies and so on. I often wondered, why are these old guys so worried about the population being so large and the planet being overpopulated, and you're going to be dead in like 10 years, you know? Like if you're a Rothschild and you're like 90 years old, you're not going to live much longer, you know? But they're going to keep living because they're eating these babies and drinking their blood apparently. So it all makes sense to me now that's why you got to keep this shit working because they're going to be here for 150 fucking years and they know stuff that apparently I don't have enough money to know.
Most of us don't. Yeah. It's like they mine our data. They know everything about us. And with the 5G towers, they're going to be able to like see what we talk about. Like Sabrina, whenever we're together and we like talk about stuff, if we're outside and there's a 5G tower, they'll be able to read our lips. I don't know. I don't like that. That bugs me. I mean, how do you feel about it, Vaughn?
We've got software. It's funny because we saw this, or I saw it, and I was talking about this where maybe a month ago, at times, I feel like I've been in this freaking studio for the last 3 years, but probably about a month ago when people started really getting sick and over in another country, they were talking about introducing an app that would let you know if someone had coronavirus, and then you would know if you have come into proximity with somebody that's had it, and that's where you got it. And again, this is kind of like what I was saying. So that sounds great. I want to know if my phone's pinging, somebody in this area's got corona, I need to avoid this area. Right? That's how you're going to be sold this app. And we talked about it on the podcast, and it was like over in maybe China. So, of course, you don't think about it. Now, I got a notification that they're launching that app here in the UK. So now we're going to have that app, and it's probably going to be mandatory that if you become diagnosed with it, you have to install this app on your phone so that we know. And it's going to be something like these stupid, what are they called? They're going to be root apps, so they can't be taken off the phone. There's no way to delete it. Like you know how you can't delete like certain apps from your iPhone or whatever? You can't delete it. So it's going to be something that's going to be monitoring you left, right, and center. I don't like it. But it's these little moves that they're going to be making to have these controls.
Yeah, the child, you can see like what child molester lives in what neighborhood. Same thing with the COVID virus. Now, I don't know that.
Also, like, how do you know the information is true? I mean, it can be manipulated very easy. Like if you're saying, okay, that person. I mean, here's like the sinister, not this double sinister side of it. It's like, oh, how are people going to react to people who have had the virus and maybe you don't have it, and there's another grander conspiracy and said, well, we're going to make that guy have it, to everybody else. And, then there goes your freaking sci-fi movie again. And here we are.
Yeah. My college professor in biology, I always remember what she told me. She said, if you want to know what's going to happen in the future, just watch any sci-fi movie because it always comes true. And it's totally turning out to be the case.
I was talking with someone. God, this has turned into the conspiracy podcast.
We We went down the rabbit hole. We went down the rabbit hole.
That rabbit was like, got him.
Yeah.
I was talking with someone, and it was when I lived in LA, and he's like, do you ever wonder why, and this is one of those late night conversations, and you've been, drinking and doing whatever else all night. And this guy says, you ever wonder why so many of these sci-fi films and these like spy films that are involving like government, this, that, and the other are so accurate? I'm like, yeah, because they have a guy on set that says, if you're in the military, you wear your badge like this and you carry a gun like that. And he's like, he was a member of the, I don't know the exact name, but there's like a Writers Guild of America or something like that. And he's a member of this guild. What's that?
WDGA.
Yeah, something like that. So he's like, a lot of these people that are in Hollywood are placed there by the government. So
out of shadows, man. That's what it's about. The CIA is in bed with Hollywood. That is exactly what's it about.
He's like, the CIA have operatives in Hollywood writing these scripts. So he's like, how do you think some fucking kid that went to the University of whatever knows so much about, whatever in government? They would have no idea to come up with something so accurate, and yet they do. And next thing you know, that stuff becomes reality. And he's like you said, and a lot of times, and this is why people are freaking out now, the way they're freaking out. And a lot of times they do this is so that they can see how the public would react to certain stimulus, and they're training you how to react to certain stimulus. So when you see the pandemic, or the contagions or the outbreak films, and you see the people going, and they panic and they buy all the toilet paper they can find. When it happens for real, that's when people go, and they buy all the toilet paper they can find because that's what they saw in the movie. And they know that this is what's supposed to happen because, oh my God, this is just like that film we saw. We need to buy all the pasta and flour and toilet paper we can buy, and boom. So I don't doubt that. I don't doubt it for a second. And it's kind of creepy. It's definitely kind of creepy. So
I just need to find myself a survivalist boyfriend that has like, an underground bunker somewhere so I can survive.
They're out there.
They're out there. The dating apps have more of a traffic than they ever have. I mean, everything probably on the internet. But now that's people are concerned that once some regulations are lifted, guidelines are lifted, that's going to cause a new problem. It's all these people wanting to hook up, and they, have been sequestered for a month. It's just a little segment of the, little tidbit. We were talking about that before. We won't talk about it again.
Yeah, there's going to be a baby boom around Christmas.
They actually need to start an app for survivalist people, I think. Yeah. I think that's like a good app. Hey, anybody out there, you guys should make one of those for survivalists. Yes. That want to live on the fringe.
They've already got like 30 of those that I'm looking at right now.
No, they have like farmers.com and stuff like that, but
have you left your apartment at all? Fun?
I literally had to leave yesterday, ironically, because my grocery delivery was not able to be delivered, so I had to go pick it up. But so I have had to leave yesterday. But
how did that? Did it feel good to like have fresh air like hit your cheeks and like see the blue sky?
I mean, I in the very beginning I was still going outside to exercise, just out into the driveway, because I would work out in the house and then jump rope outside and so on. You still take out the trash and whatnot, but no, I mean, I'm very hermity anyway. Like, the only time I need to leave is if I need to go to the market or if I were going to the gym. Otherwise, or if I'm going to a studio to film something. But I work most of the time from here, so it's cool. But it's the human contact that's missing. And like you said about people on the dating apps and whatnot, it's going to be a huge influx of dating, and the internet's just slammed right now as it is with usage. This is how they're going to sell you 5G, because your internet's slowed down now because so many people are on the internet naturally. So if a disaster like this happens, you need better internet, so you should upgrade.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. We there were a couple weeks that I didn't go out, and then we finally kind of set on hiking trails for the first couple days. I was like, wow, people! It had this shiny new thing. It was like, wow! Usually I don't like these people, but wow! It'll be interesting when we get out. So you don't, but like you're in more of a city, right?
I'm kind of not countryside, like American countryside. I'm in a suburb, basically. Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Do you know your neighbors?
Oh God, no.
Vegas, pretty much. Nobody actually hangs out or says hi to each other.
No, not in my hood. My hood is like, you're having, beers in the street. You say hi. We have the same neighbors for 40 years, so.
Yeah, I know the lady that lives upstairs, and I think she's at her boyfriend's house, which is lovely because normally they're here, which is annoying because her bedroom is right above my bedroom, and I hate listening to her getting trailblazed every morning. Sleep. So go. I'm happy to see them not here. So we are out of time. How did your interview go really quickly? We'll touch on that really quick. You talked to a friend in Traverse City in Michigan. How was that?
Yeah, the Crystal Frost show. I didn't get to plug this because we didn't put the V3 in the intro, and it was just kind of, it was 20 minutes, but it went really good. It was Crystal Frost show. I'll make sure I reach out to Crystal and ask if she can, put somewhere, or maybe next time. My friend Jeffrey Ford, he's an amazing person. He's a genius. He has Asperger's. He has a YouTube, a TEDx talk, and that's how we initially met. So, interesting guy. Maybe we'll see. Well, I don't know. We'll talk about that later.
Lovely. So we need to do this again. I love speaking with you ladies. You have an interesting perspective. Get this girl some Popeyes chicken so you can ruin her forever. And I look forward to the next time we speak. Don't forget to check us out on v3tv.uk, you guys. Hit us up on Instagram. And where else can you find us? All over the place. Anywhere you listen to your podcasts, we are there. iTunes and Spotify and so on. And do you ladies have anything you want to plug before we go?
Me, real estate in Vegas. If you want to come buy some houses, I'm available.
and if
Jessica Stells LV on Instagram.
Yeah, I changed it. It's just B Sell. But yeah. You're right. Sorry. Just B Sells LV.
You brought your manager with you today. So check her out, you guys. And if you're into being a survivalist and you're looking for a redheaded girlfriend that doesn't know what Popeye's chicken is, she is your girl. Thanks for tuning in.
Yes, boo. Reach out.